My husband's brother has been crossing every line imaginable, and now my marriage is falling apart because I refuse to spend the holidays with him. I, 27F, will preface this by stating that I love my husband, 32M, and will do anything it takes to stay with him till the end. We dated for 2 years before marrying last year, and before him, my life was a mess. Now I am the happiest person alive with him and never want this relationship to end. I will use fake names for my husband, John, and his brother, Brian. To start, this all began a year ago before the wedding. Brian, 35M, had always been a screw-up his entire life, but 2 years ago sobered up and moved in with his and John's parents. John's father owns a car dealership and is quite wealthy. John grew up quite rich but never liked that lifestyle and decided to become a nurse instead of working for his father. Brian started working at the dealership and has turned his life around according to John's parents. I had met him a few times and he had creeped me out and was very inappropriate. He commented about my butt and even tried to grope me once, but John stopped him. I was very adamant before the wedding about not inviting Brian. John has a strong relationship with both his parents, and it's a big reason why I admire him. So when John's parents would not attend if Brian couldn't, so I gave in and invited Brian. That is where everything went wrong. The wedding was amazing, but Brian came up with a so-called prank. He found a half-full can of red paint in the church utility closet and thought it would be funny to dump it on me after the ceremony. When I went to the bathroom, he jumped around the corner and splashed the paint all over me and the dress. I was hysterical and wanted to call the cops on Brian. John calmed me down and kicked Brian out of the wedding. A bridesmaid lived nearby and I used her shower and she lent me a dress to wear. From then on I have never talked to or been near Brian. John is very understanding, but every year insists we go to his parents for Thanksgiving and Christmas. He will not budge and says that he cannot cut his parents out of his life. However, Brian is still living with his parents and attended Thanksgiving and Christmas with them last year. I somehow got through both last year, never going near Brian and staying next to John the entire time. Last week I got sent an image of a schlong. Then a text following saying, "I bet you mine is bigger than my brother's." I do not know how he got a hold of my number and I was disgusted beyond all belief. I wanted to again call the cops, but John told me that would just allow for Brian to torment us more. Yesterday, I told John that I will not attend Thanksgiving or Christmas with his family under no circumstances. John was very conflicted about the whole matter. He said that his parents are great people and that Thanksgiving and Christmas are all he has with them. This has been by far the biggest strain on our relationship, and I can feel John and I drifting apart. I do not know how to discuss this with John and I need help. I have never done this before, and for the first time, I am going to the internet with this issue and instead of John. What can I do to fix this situation? Am I being irrational with my demands? Update, 9 days later. To start, I want to preface this by stating that I did not want to write an update on this. When I wrote the first post, I got angry at the first couple of comments that came in because of their drastic, unrealistic nature. No, I'm not going to divorce my husband because he won't stick up for me. Nobody is perfect, including me, but a lot of the comments I felt didn't understand the whole scope of the problem, and I feel that is on me for not writing everything I should have. But some of it was helpful and I will address that later. Things I should have addressed or mentioned in the first post I will put here. First, my husband is adopted and so is Brian. Because of this, there are a few things that changed their relationship. John was adopted at the age of 3 and does not remember anything other than his adoptive family. However, Brian was adopted at the age of 9 when John was 6. Brian is 6 feet 5 inches and John is 5 feet 10 inches, and Brian has been bigger than John all of his life. John has talked about how Brian was SA'd before he was adopted, and that is a reason why his mother and father have always held back. Brian has bullied, and I do not mean in the older brother sense, John. John does not talk about it much, but I get the feeling Brian has done some messed up crap to him. With that being said, after I calmed down from the first few comments the next day, I came back to the post to see it had somewhat exploded. I read through comments all day at work and wrote down some of the ones I needed to listen to. After I got home from work, John and I talked for a long time, and then the next night and the night after that. What I discussed with him was the stress his family has put on me. He by no means agrees with what his parents are doing or anything Brian has done. He opened up and did say that he felt he was failing a bit. He teared up for a bit when he told me that he wished that he had done more about Brian at the wedding and that he does not expect me to come with him to his family's ever again. He is a very shy guy and does not like conflict. He said that he would find a way for him to go just by himself for Thanksgiving and that he would just skip Christmas this year altogether. But an important thing I wanted, after reading the comments, was for him to explain to his mother exactly why I was not coming. I do not want Brian to get away with this and to expect me to be totally passive in the situation. John the first night was hesitant to say the least about the idea. He was afraid of many things about if he did that. But the second night, after thinking about it at work, he decided that it was the right thing to do. He is planning to talk to his mother next week. But some of the comments did alarm me about my behavior. One comment said I might have some codependency, and other comments said I should go to couples counseling. When I brought the idea up to John, he surprised me by saying that he would like to go to couples counseling. John said he would research it and has scheduled a session for us next week before he calls his mother. I am very relieved and have felt much better. I think talking with John really helped and has assured me that John and I are on the same page. That is all I can say, and I know that there is interest in my situation, and while I do not like for my life to be opened and read like a book, I think it did help me understand myself more. So thank you for that. Venting to internet strangers did have its benefit.